Yes.
Yeah, right. I do.
How do you want me to introduce you?
So I'm a mind expansion coach and inner wealth mentor, and I host two podcasts. The one that I've recently launched, it's Inner Power Out of Prosperity, and the other is Wellness and Beyond, which I co-host with my wife and partner Juhi.
Cool.
And yeah, that's who I am. I live in Spain. And
Really?
yeah.
I had no idea. How is it living
Tell
in
us.
Spain?
Oh, it's really amazing. People are amazing. And the climate is not bad either, compared to the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, where I live, knowing Spanish is a must. Otherwise, it's hard to get by. But otherwise, apart from that, Spanish is not that difficult, to learn. There are a lot of English words also, a lot of words that overlap in English as well.
Well, listen, let me tell you, my minor in university was Spanish. I don't remember a
Wow.
lick of it. I don't even know how I passed. I remember having one conversation with my professor, and she was like, I was doing well, maybe like mid 80s, which is like maybe like a B minus. And I just could not convince her I didn't know what I was doing. Like I wrote papers and I was like, I don't know what I'm saying. And she's like, no, you're good, you're good. And I was like, I don't know. And I think I was bad at it. I don't know. I think they just gave it to me. So I don't remember any of my Spanish at all. So, congratulations to you for
Oh,
learning.
thanks. But you know what? Frankly, I mean, right when we came here, we took classes. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't know Spanish. We didn't know how to speak Spanish when we arrived here. And so we did start with classes because that is the most obvious thing to do. But to be very frank with you, it was not the classes that actually helped more than it was the conversations, the imperfect conversations that we had with the people around.
Yeah, that's how I grasped, my limited Chinese. It was when I first came to China, I loved going to tea shops. And so I would just go into tea shops and just guess and fumble.
Yeah,
So
that's
He
how we
says
learn.
limited Chinese. His Chinese is very good.
it's
It's
not as good
better
as
than
yours.
you can read Chinese. I can see it. I can speak better than you, but you can definitely read much better than me.
Yeah, I guess so. It's weird that
And
I
I think
can
reading
recognize
is
it.
like in terms of being able to build a language by yourself and gaining autonomy, reading is far more important.
But to be fair, I couldn't read a child's storybook. I can read everyday things, if that makes sense. Like I can go into grocery stores, like I can read ingredients, food, titles of shops. It's really strange, but a book,
That
like
is
that
weird because
abstract
I
kind of thinking, I can't.
can read a children's storybook, but there's no way that I can read ingredients of a recipe, for example.
Just different interests, That's it.
Apparently,
Yeah, it depends on the use case. Like how
Yeah,
much are you using the language? What are you using the language for?
definitely. Like, I mean, Ruby and I are language teachers essentially. So like, we know what to do. I just don't do it.
I know how to learn to read,
Yeah, I know the secrets of learning a language.
but
I just
I
can't be
have
bothered.
all the tools. They're in the toolbox over there, and I haven't
Yeah.
opened it in like weeks. Okay. Tough questions. Honest answers. Oh, the messy truth. Your perspectives. Let's begin. Welcome to Kaleidoscope.
So speaking of mind expansion, as the name suggests, mind is what I would just say consciousness. So it's expansion of our consciousness because at the root of it, we are energy, we are consciousness. So it's all about just expanding our awareness to access what lies beyond or what lies within, and to basically access the field, or some people like to call it access the Akashic records, or some people like to call it accessing the higher mind, or deeper level of consciousness, or higher self. There are a lot of names, but to access that essence of who you really are. And that's where it kind of directly connects with the other thing that I do. Actually, it's not like a separation, but it's since I have two offerings, I have like two things that I do, but it's an actuality, it's just the same thing. So inner wealth mentor, as the name suggests, now since I said expanding and accessing your essence, right? And inner wealth, as the name suggests, is all that you need. The answers, the true wealth is actually within you. And if you want to change what's external to you, if you want to change your experiences in life, if you want to get somewhere, you want to do something, then you have to access that internal wealth. So that's what I do: mind expansion and inner wealth mentor. And with these two podcasts, the new one that I just launched, which is Inner Power, Outer Prosperity, again just suggests that the power is within, the wealth is within. And even to gain outer prosperity, we need to access what's within, we need to align with what's within. That directly gets in touch with our purpose and with basically connecting to that inner self and having more clarity on that level. And so here in this podcast, I invite people who are already they have already had success in life, they have outer prosperity, and then I interview them to basically know their journey, how they dealt with those inner turmoil and all the fears and what all the inner demons that they were facing, and how they got themselves to align with what was inside of them. Because most of the successful people today that we see, and influencers and creators, they've all had a journey, and most of them have come from a place of struggle where they have been broken, including myself. And so I feel that that's the most important thing. And yeah, journey, our podcast was Journey to Wellness and Beyond before, but now we are changing the name and making it Wellness and Beyond. We are rebooting and changing the style of podcasting. We'll be focusing more on interviewing guests. And so Wellness and Beyond, as the name suggests, was actually where I started from, like post pandemic, because I lost my mom to breast cancer. So I always had this question of why cancer? How can we get to wellness? And that got both me and my wife motivated into studying this. At first, it was unofficial, but then, of course, the pandemic caused us to kind of switch in and making it into a career, a profession. And so, Wellness and Beyond is about focused on how we can work on the physical body, and also, as the name Beyond suggests, like the mental, the consciousness, where also the part of my mind expansion gets in. And eventually tapping into things like lucid dreaming tools, I would say, or even things like remote viewing, the inabilities that we already have. And our goal at the end is just that people wake up to their real power, their inner power, so that they can thrive not just in wellness, but also in prosperity and abundance in life. And really, like, to understand that even happiness is a state of mind and everything is achievable, and give the power back into the hands of people.
Hello, welcome to Kaleidoscope. My name is Ruby Rae Liu, and I am the host of this podcast. I am also the enemy of all fridges and feared by all snacks. Today, I am joined by, how do I articulate this? Ah, yes, my co-host, Luigi.
Gee, thanks.
Co-host and dear friend, Luigi. And Arjun Chhabra. Arjun Chhabra I'm very honored to have you join us. I'm interested in your story. I read it when you first posted it on Slack in RSS, which is how we connected. Arjun can be found, dear listener, on YouTube at ARJUNRCHH. Actually, that is the handle for all of his socials, and Instagram, YouTube, and X. Please check him out, Arjun CHH. Arjun, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you all.
Do you want to take part in our little allegory /
Reminders
thing?
of who we are.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would love to, but how about you all go first, because...
Okay.
And then,
I'm feared
hello.
by all snacks. Luigi, welcome.
Hi,
Joining
everyone,
us
I'm
from
Luigi.
Canada today.
Yeah, the Great White North. A one-time thing. Well, who knows? Anyway, I'm Luigi, future scrap collector.
Why? Why? What scrap are you going to collect?
Tin.
10.
I've been reading a book about the history of Japan after the war. It's really fascinating. And a part that built the economy was they would collect the tin from the occupying American soldiers, and they would recycle it into toys for sale. And that's how they
Wow.
kind of saved their economy.
You're saying that the Japanese economy is built on scrap metal.
The toy industry, yeah, and those toys were taken from like the thrown away tin cans. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. I did not know that.
It's
Thanks for
really,
sharing.
really fascinating. Anyway,
I'm going to
I'm
welcome you
inspired.
one more time, Arjun. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Sorry, y'all were cutting out in between, so I didn't quite catch what was happening.
I'm saying, do you want to say something about yourself?
Yeah, in terms of like funny or just who I am.
Let's go
Okay.
for funny.
Well, you can call me and the silent underdog. I don't know what to say.
The silent underdog. Why would you describe yourself that way?
It's funny because generally it's like underdog is someone who opposes, right? Who's trying to always go against the conventional way of doing things. But I do that, but I do it really silently, not out loud. So it's not like I like to always oppose, but knowing that the kind of society we live in, I definitely I have my own ways of opposing and keeping my point and, trying to bring out the truths and hopefully justice to as many as I can, including
Okay,
myself.
so Arjun, the underdog that assassinates, basically. Silent and deadly.
Silent and like a ninja.
The ninja underdog. That's the
There you go.
one. The ninja
Yeah.
underdog. Arjun, the way Kaleidoscope works is each of us shares a perspective or idea, and then the other two kind of delves into that for a little bit, and we see where the conversation goes. And then after
Perfect.
that, we change it. Yeah. In no particular order today. Would you like to go first?
All right.
Do we do that to the guests? We usually make them go first.
No. Yeah, normally I do. I say
All I know
normally,
is I
what
always
would you
go
like to-
last.
You may go last. Arjun, would you like me to share your topic or would you like to introduce it?
You please feel free and I'll definitely just join in.
Yeah, please do. Okay. So today, you sent to me on when was it? The 26th of July. I'd love to share my perspective and journey in relation to achieving clarity and purpose that helps cultivating peace and prosperity in life, which directly ties into physical wellness. In short, how everything is connected. I thought that was beautiful because I really like the fact that everything is intersectional. We don't live linearly. We live in Venn diagrams of cause and effect.
Absolutely. The very first thing as children that we are always taught, or the kind of perspective that we are given, is to always look at things separately. We have separate subjects, and archaeology never mixes with geology, and even in biology, or, let's say the conventional system, I wouldn't really go too much in depth about it because, it's something like that easily can get taken down these days. But everything is looked at separately, right? There's a cardiologist, and there's another doctor who looks at the brain, and there's another guy who does the kidneys, etc., etc. So everything is always so separate. And the more I of course I started delving into all of these things from the perspective of wellness and health. And now today I'm at a point where I realize, after starting even functional medicine and reading a ton of other books and doing this and that, and it's been a crazy journey for me, that it's not just the body that's connected together. We are connected not just to each other, but even the cosmos. And in fact, even our emotions are tied into our wellness, and even our outer prosperity is also tied into our own emotions and wellness and our state of mind. And it's dictated by the nervous system. So it's like, what I'm trying to say is everything is so interconnected. Like in the beginning, the reason also why I got into inner power, outer prosperity, like inner wealth coaching and mind expansion and all that, because I realized that why are people not getting well? We're using different herb supplements and, different approaches like what we learned in functional medicine and holistic wellness, but still people are just at the edge, one step out of line, chaos. So what's happening over here? And then, of course, people are not right at the right point, and people are not there yet mentally. Maybe they have issues they are dealing with, or maybe they don't have prosperity in life, they don't have abundance in life. Maybe they live in fear of certain things. And again, our brain or our mind is not functioning based on what it sees in the outer world. It's functioning based on what we think is real in our mind, right? And so everything is so tied together that if we need outer abundance, we need inner peace. And if even if we need wellness in our own physical body, we also, again, inner peace ties into, the regulation of the nervous system. And that's when our biochemistry is, it can get back to its default state the way it's supposed to be, not us always being in that fight or flight survival mode. Then that wreaks havoc. And then most of us find ourselves in a place where we are, you know suffering from many problems, issues, and diseases. And I think a lot of us are trying to seek out the answers external to us and trying to solve this problem and that problem. And maybe this is different or that is different, or only to realize that everything is interconnected and it all starts from the head. It all starts from what we think and what we feel and what's inside, and while also respecting what's outside. And there are like people fighting over perspectives and tools. Oh, this tool and this modality is better, or that is better, or I am right, or you are wrong.
Right.
Just to realize that everything is just different perspectives. We all are looking at different sides of the same coin, the same box, whatever you like to call it.
So are all these perspectives like tools, and they are all legitimate tools for finding a way? Or is there
So
just one?
how I would put
Go
it is like wherever, like, we all want to get to that one point in our life where we are not just physically well, but we are prosperous and abundant and happy and all
Yeah,
of those things, right?
definitely.
So
Yeah.
let's say that goal is on top of a mountain. And that's
Okay.
just one point. The peak is just a peak, right? It's just one point. And then there are the slopes, and there are the different terrains around it that make that mountain. And then we can take any path. So it's the journey. What journey are we taking? And let's say how we feel, what we think, and what modalities and techniques we plan to use, whether it's getting well, physically well, or it's something that can be mentally support us, or something that we use internally to grow like our consciousness or expand our consciousness. And we use different modalities, techniques. Basically, it's based on our belief systems. And then we try to climb the same mountain, right? And just to realize that we all are going to get to the same point, and it doesn't matter what tool we use. They all are valid. They all are valid at different points. Like, for example, you can't even climb the whole mountain just using one tool, right? A lot of people also make that mistake of thinking that, for example, only the conventional medical system can help, or only the holistic wellness
Right.
system can
Yeah.
help. But but when there's an acute situation, you need the conventional system. And when it's a chronic issue or illness, then you need to take different steps which are more in aligned with the holistic wellness system.
Yeah.
And so there's
Okay.
no one right answer. And based on our situations, we need to use different tools. Basically, we need to be more open and flexible. And the more accepting we are, and the more we are ready to let go and be not stubborn, not too adamant on our ways and our way of thinking, the better it is for us and the faster we can climb that mountain.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's like a bricolage of self-care. And I think that's the best strategy personally. I think it almost becomes kind of political when people limit themselves on the best avenue for something. Like, let's say Western medicine versus some other form, things like that. Because obviously, the joy of being human, I think, is, or at least being a part of humanity and civilization, is that everyone has, or at least society's been broken down into a kind of mode of expertise, and it seems really limiting. But the paradox, I think, is that it is what advances humanity so quickly, and it's when we use all of those, tools. For example, like you can go to an osteopath, you can go to what do they call it? A physical therapist for many issues, and then you go to a dietitian for other dietary issues. So yeah, and the issues, the things that happen, or the challenges that arise, are when people limit themselves. Oh, I'm only gonna eat holistic food or things like that.
What's the fun in life if we are always trying to be perfect, right?
Definitely, yeah. Tell me about it.
Do we think that there is value in the compartmentalization and specialization within our the thing that I'm sitting with is, at the beginning of the conversation, you said the first thing we're taught as kids is that everything has a time and place, kind of, right? So we have subjects and then we have professions. So, but obviously those professions, those skills, they have inherent value. Like specialization is important, right?
It's important, but at the same time, we also need to leave space for bridging them, right? For connecting them.
Okay.
Because a lot of
Yeah.
times
Yeah,
it's like, I am in isolation, but I want to be in isolation. It's just like, our lives. We
right.
need time for
Yeah,
ourselves also, right? We need our
Yeah.
time of being with our thoughts and ourselves. We need our isolate. We want to be by ourselves. And there are times we want to spend with others and be in community. There's always has to be a balance. So there's nothing wrong with specialization, but there has to be also points of connection that have to be left on the table.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Open-mindedness.
Balance. Exactly. And that's what's absent in our society. Sometimes, people are so adamant, they just don't want to think outside the box. They
Yeah,
want to stick with what they have taught.
so look, I
Yeah.
don't want to make this political, but I do have to
Yeah.
say this one thing.
You can make it
It's
political.
strange. It is very strange that countries have had to make laws for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why isn't that the default? Like, why doesn't that just exist within our society by default? That, to me, that's kind of a concerning factor. But
I think, sorry to cut you off, Ruby.
no,
but I
please
think that
go ahead.
I think that happens because, maybe I'm going to sound really arrogant when I say this, but I think that happens because a lot of, the majority of society, perhaps, when those laws were created, weren't educated, weren't taught certain methods of thinking, weren't critical thinkers. It was just really regimented and, well, like we're saying. So a lot of kind of disaster happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I'm laughing because how did it, the majority of people were not educated enough to be able to think critically about this, but now we look at the states and we have an active rollback of DEI, and that baffles
Okay,
me.
but okay, fair enough. But how many, if we look at like the statistics, how many Americans are educated?
Yeah,
How
I
many?
know.
What
That's the
percentage of
concerning.
America
That's
has
why
like
I'm laughing.
Yeah.
That's terrifying that we have the richest nation in the world that is actively, I always knew this is going to sound bad, but it's a legacy of this exact system of oppression and compartmentalization and not sharing that resulted in the majority of the South African population being left in poverty and being uneducated, right?
Yeah.
So they're not even able to engage. I always knew that. But maybe I'm ignorant here. I never knew that about Americans. I mean, there was a point in my life where I started realizing that the Deep South has a problem with education, but I never thought that it would be so systemic to the point where we are now. And kind of to bring it back to the podcast, Arjun, how would you say that is connected to inner wealth?
Exactly. As Luigi pointed out, it was, yeah, sure, not being educated was one factor. But at the same time, the most biggest factor of all was also giving away our inner power to someone else, an external authority, a group of people
Ah,
who
yeah, that's a good point.
decided what's right and what's wrong for you.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
people blindly followed. Why did they follow? Because they thought they weren't good enough, or there were certain aspects of the society that I wouldn't want to say, which we all know about. People going to, I mean, I don't want to make it too controversial, so I'm not going to say the word, but it's connected to worship, right? And they have always kind of been connected with the political systems and other systems, and they have always dictated what's right for the people and what should be taught, what should not be taught. And then again, people gave away their power, right? If everyone is standing in their power, who has the right to tell people what is right and what is wrong, except the people themselves deciding? So we all blindfolded ourselves and we went on with whatever is taught to us. But I'm glad that at least today we are in a place in our society where there is a revolt, there's a revolution, where people are waking up, where people are saying, hey, that's not good. Like, people are speaking out. I feel we are growing. And I like to see, or I like to believe, the future as being a much brighter one for all of us, for humanity, because I see us getting there. I compare our today to 200 years ago. Sure, not everything's perfect, but it's definitely better. I mean, we couldn't have spoken about these things 200 years ago.
No,
We
we
could have
wouldn't have known that
secretly in
the
coffee
three of
shops.
us existed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Also, there's another thing I would like to, like a spiritual perspective I can throw in over here.
By all means.
Earth is a school. I mean, I have, in mind expansion sessions, what happens is, sometimes people talk to their future selves, sometimes they communicate with their higher selves, sometimes they communicate with their parallel selves, or sometimes they communicate with their past selves, which is just an indication that there are, like, Earth is a school, and this is not home, a permanent home. We are here to get educated, to have experiences, and then we graduate, right? And then we are on holiday until we start again and bumping up the level one step further.
I've heard this theory before, like before you said it now, you mentioned it as school. I would have defined it as spiritual maturity of
I have
the
heard it
afterlife.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of spirituality.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have come across, even my own self, I have seen past lives. And whenever we ask the higher self, people never come, for mind expansion, people never come because they want to see their past or see their future, whatever. They come with a problem. I have this problem, I don't know how to solve it, or I'm anxious, or I'm fearful, what should I do? And they want answers, they can't find answers, right? So you go inside, you expand your consciousness, but everything's
Mhm.
inside.
How do you
Sorry?
how do you do that? How do you go inside and expand your consciousness to the point where you could speak to future, past, or parallel self?
Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to tell you. So the first thing you do that we don't do in today's society is to first sit within ourselves, sit with us, be in the present moment, be grounded, and not get carried away by what had happened in the past or what will happen in the future. By just being present for yourself, present in the place where you are, just being present. And slowly, as you are spending more and more time with yourself, you start. So this what I'm trying to explain right now is something you can do by yourself as well, without having like a mind expansion session. And then I'll get to what I do in a mind expansion session. All right. So we are always connected to our higher self. We are always connected. We are the essence, right? So it's all about being aware of it. And how do you be aware of it? So step one, like I say, is first being in the present moment. And then second step, as you continue to do so, you slowly start not paying too much of attention. You don't stop your thoughts. Sometimes even I used to think meditation is about trying to stop your thoughts, but you can never do that. As long as a person is physically alive, it's not possible. So you just don't engage with your thoughts. And eventually there comes a point, and during one of the sessions, one of a beings guided me by telling me that when I am in this state, or when anyone is in this state, they should just start visualizing themselves in their mind's eye, with their minds closed, standing away and seeing yourself sitting there. So in this way, what you do is you separate yourself from your ego, from your identity, the identity that the society has given you, that you have adapted to, that you have accepted for yourself. But you're not limited to your identity. You're more than your identity. You are a reflection of the universe. You're a reflection of all that is infinite. You are infinite, right? And so the moment you start doing that, you start connecting more and more to your sense, and hence opens the bridge. You clear out the bridge for that connection with your higher self, with the universe. And whatever question you sit with at that point in time, there is, I guarantee you 101% with absolute certainty you will get the answer. Maybe not in the moment, sometimes in the moment, but you will definitely get the answer in the following hours or days. And that's how anyone can start connecting to that part of themselves, that essence. And as for what I do in the mind expansion session, I first start, of course, we clarify what the intention is. Like I say, even when you're sitting, you can always have a question you'd like to ask, or we always clarify the intention or the questions the person has, and then we start with the breathing exercises to try and change the brainwave states. Because now as we are speaking, we are in low beta, medium beta, low alpha. Always, never in one state. We are always like switching, right? So we need to get the brainwave state to change and go as close to theta as possible, which is the state we are in when we are just before falling asleep and just before waking up, like a dream-like state or daydream state. And some of us find ourselves even bumping up into gamma, where you're hyper aware. And that happened with me. I was like freaking hyper aware of everything. What was happening in the room, what was happening in the session, what was happening outside of the house. Everything was so clear. But when I woke up from the session, everything felt like it was a daydream. It was a dream. I was hyper aware when that was happening. So with breathing, and then I like to use Greg Braden's, what he suggests, that you get into an elevated state of emotion, as even Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks of. As we get into an elevated state of emotion and knowing that the vibration, everything is energy and hence everything has vibration. The vibration of the divine is love. And for that reason, I love the movie Interstellar. It's very close to my heart. Love is the most purest, the most divine form of emotion, the highest ever, on the highest vibration. Ruby, you want to say something?
Yeah, so this whole conversation has so many links to our conversation with Diane.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and so you've touched on resonance and vibration and the higher self. Pretty much the only thing we've really missed is what spirits are, basically. And I'd actually love to engage with you on that. But the thing I wanted to ask was, have you read The Power of Holy Language?
I haven't read the book.
Okay.
Is it a book?
It's a book, yeah. I have the audiobook. I consume books via audio because I spend a lot of time in my car. But it spoke exactly about this. The vibration of the divine is love and acceptance and flowering of everything. So yeah, sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
No worries. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what it is. And the more we can align with that vibration before we get into the next steps, the more better it is for that connection, I feel, for everything that is to unfold. And once we get the person into, my client, into a higher, emotional, like a very emotional state, which is more of love and joy and freedom, that's when we start a guided visualization process. Because the mind, the imagination or visualization is a bridge that connects the higher dimensions, or all that is, the quantum field or the Higgs field or the universe, whatever you want to call it, to us, to our, wherever we are now. And so through visualization, we slowly start shifting or expanding that consciousness into including what we generally don't include, as we live in the third dimension, which is restricted by time and space, to finally expand our consciousness and move beyond this limitation, where we can experience more time, where we can experience all of the times, all of the possibilities, all that there is, because that's where the answers lie. And it was very interesting. So please go ahead.
No, I was just, I want to ask, do you think there's a group of people who is not able to do this?
No.
Are there people in an emotional state who will not be able to achieve this because of that emotional state? I'm thinking of, like, for example, depression. Are there barriers to entry?
First of all, for everyone, this is possible. There is no exception to this, except, of course, as you said, there can be certain emotions that can prevent the person from entering into the state of expanding their consciousness, being fear of the process itself or what's to unfold, anxiety around the whole process, or maybe anxiety about something else. And you know why that is? It's tied to our brainwave state, because if fear, anxiety, and all these are more relevant to the beta brainwave state. And so if you're constantly in the beta brainwave state, so I have this, I drew this, I created this diagram which I have placed on my website, and it's like an iceberg. So we are always, there's a tip of the iceberg that's above the water, and there's a huge part of the iceberg that's below in the ocean, right? And you're always only accessing that part which is above the water. That you can think of as beta alpha, what we are generally like driving, talking, sleep, like everything else except sleeping, of course. And when we sleep, we drop down into the ocean and access the most lowest point, the delta.
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
there are other parts that we can access them. When we start delving down into the ocean, we start expanding our consciousness. So anything that can prevent a person to shift their brainwave state can actually prevent the person from getting into that state.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. Yeah, good. So, like, I'm gonna move on into my question. The way that we chose our topics, coincidentally, I think they fit quite well into what you were thinking. And my question is, how do you think how is technology related to what you do, and how does it integrate into our spirituality, our inner wealth, and mind expansion?
I see technology just as another tool, right? And again, people are arguing AI is bad. Some people say AI is a boon, it's a blessing. Again, it's like a tool, like a knife. You can either kill someone with a knife or you can do something fantastic. You can create something artistic, right? Or you can do something as basic as cutting vegetables. It's up to us. And as far as, I don't know if you read recently, there were some articles about quantum computers that they can access other dimensions and other realities that is beyond the third dimension or the very linear way we think of. It's working in a very different way. It's accessing parallel realities. It's accessing more than just the present time, and which already exists. So it's actually accessing all of this. And I feel that maybe not changing the topic, but maybe it's connected to what you previously sent me, the snapshot. Everything
No, it's the
that
same
has
thing.
to exist already exists. Everything that will come in the future, that has been in the past, that is in the present, everything already exists and is still going on. Right? We are never creating anything. We are always shifting. We are always shifting. We are never creating. We are always shifting.
But as the state that we are in now, we have no idea what has already existed, right? But then do you think there's a predeterminism, or are we able to jump between parallel realities? My question really is, does freedom and free will exist in your
Absolutely.
mind?
Absolutely does. Especially now, if we think of from the point of view of our ego mind, we still have freedom, not to that extent that we think of, because our soul has already decided. And again, who is the soul? It's us. It's us that's not packed in a box, right? That's aware of everything. So our soul has already decided the outcomes or the lessons it needs to learn. It has already decided the experiences it needs to have. It wants to have, right? In the third dimension, like in the third dimension and on earth, and with this ego mind, the liberty that we have, kind of freedom that we have, is to choose how that unfolds, to what extent we experience something. Like, for example, if the soul has decided that it wants to experience some disease, right? Of course, there will be circumstances created in our lives that will cause it. But the way we handle it is going to determine to what extent we experience it. Is that making sense?
Yeah, and it brings another
It
question.
makes
I
sense.
asked the same.
Go ahead, Ruby.
I asked the same question to Diane when we spoke to her, and my question really is: so you're talking about the soul wanting to experience things, and then I'm wondering. So I'm transgender, and how do you think that relates to everything that you've said so far with regards to my soul, my higher self, and what I am? Because in my mind, well, it's not even in my mind, it's just fact. I have always existed with this personality. This is me. And this is more me now than it's ever been before, because everything was performance based on ego, which I transcended. So what's your opinion?
So we all have aspects of ourselves, right? The soul has many aspects. You are just this one form of you. That Ruby Ray is one aspect of the soul. It does not define the soul. And as souls, we are eternal, right? We are limitless, and we experience everything. So that means you or me or anyone else has experienced life even as a transgender, as a male, as a female, as another alien body, as anything and everything you can think of, right? And as we move on a higher level and we speak on a higher level, what are we? We are an essence of the divine. We are a reflection of the creator. We are all that is, experiencing itself in different forms. See, if we are just in timelessness, we experience everything in the now. That means we cannot go through that journey. We cannot have those experiences linearly. It's a different experience. Experiencing everything in the now is so different than experiencing something linear, right? You're it's more enhanced that way. So that's the reason why we choose to limit ourselves. And we have different experiences.
Okay, we choose to limit ourselves because is it too overwhelming for our ego?
No. The ego is there as something to just protect ourselves. It's not a bad thing.
Right. Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So I had a question, but I forgot what it was. And it was so poignant. It was about, okay, give me a second.
You can talk to me. I'm fun.
Yeah, talk to Ruby. I'll remember it. Oh my goodness. Wait,
what-
I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Speaking of the soul, I remembered. So, like, how do we talk to our soul? How do we get to know what it wants us to do?
We are always being guided as to what to do. We never listen to our heart, do we? We never listen to our intuition.
Well, I certainly
That's
don't.
the compass. Yeah, that's the
For
compass.
sure.
And the way to connect more with it, because remember, there's a lot of noise. Now, for example, when Ruby was recording without the mic, there was other noises along with hers.
Good analogy.
And
Yeah.
the way
Okay.
she isolated voice, her voice from all the noise that was by, like I said, just being in the present moment helps by doing that. The first thing I told you, the way to connect with our higher self, or you can say the way to intuition, higher self is the same thing. Or our soul, it's all the same thing. Higher self, soul, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same.
Yeah.
And we just need to be present for it. I mean, it's just like, when you talk to someone, you're talking to, like we all are talking to each other. We are present for each other. So be present for your soul. Just in the same way. And it's not always and for different people, they experience it in different ways. Like some people have, of course, the feeling is always common. We all have a certain feeling that I feel good about this. I don't feel that great about this. I don't feel too excited about this. I'm bored even thinking of that. So that's the best compass, right? And at the same time, we can also say that the soul also, like I said, there are layers of the onion. There's a core of the onion, and there are different layers. Now, a lot of people say, I feel really excited to eat McDonald's every day. There's a lot of noise, like, a person can be going through internal noise or external
Yeah.
noise. Internal noise is created again when we are living too much in the beta brainwave state. Too much. And why would that happen? Because we are not in the present moment. People are generally ruminating about what happened in the past, or people are generally thinking of what's going to happen in the future. We're
Yeah. Guilting.
always we're always either ahead or behind, right? And then
Yeah.
we are never present, and that means we are tuning into more than our intuition. So we'll never
Okay.
clearly get what our intuition is trying to tell us, or our soul is trying to tell us. And the more and more we practice this, by just being with our present selves, by listening to our present selves, the more we will be very clear of what we want and then follow it, not just, a lot of people have those answers and they don't know, they don't act on it. On top of that, this feeling is one very common for all of us. Apart from that, answers also come to people in the form of knowingness. That generally happens with me. Sometimes it comes even in the form of, the more stronger this connection grows, answers or direction come to you in the form of images. And or sometimes they even come through, they might feel that they heard something, spoken word.
Okay. Yeah.
Clairaudient, clairvoyant, how as they call it.
That's very
So
interesting.
to go back to your McDonald's and example, just so I understand. So a person who wants McDonald's every day, they're like, oh, I really want McDonald's. So that's not true. They don't really want McDonald's.
Because
Tough.
if a person is anxious all the
Yeah.
time, right? They just want to
I get
fill that
it.
void with something,
Right. Okay.
right? Or like a
Yeah.
person has, they say, a quote unquote sweet tooth. Again, it taps into what emotions they are, and the consciousness is trying to, the subconscious is trying to protect
Yes.
us, is trying to,
Yeah.
make us feel at comfort, make us try and, not that we don't go crazy. It's always trying to protect us. So we try to fill in the void with things that sometimes are engineered, in this world that we live in, so
Right.
that we have a kind of sense of satisfaction in a different manner. For example, someone who hasn't had love all their life in their childhood, and then suddenly they feel more attracted to things like binge eating.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's one possibility. There
No,
can be
no,
many
I,
possibilities.
I, this is all very convincing for me personally. Like, I understand.
Why?
Well, hang on. I understand the eating McDonald's thing, and I understand like why people might eat because, we hear it in popular culture all the time, like they're filling a void, blah, blah, blah. But it makes sense. Like, we don't want to sit with bad emotions. But for the things I think a lot personally about, you know, I always think about what my motivations are and why I'm motivated. So and then Arjun says things like maybe it's from something in your childhood, like you didn't receive enough love. And I'm just thinking personally on some level, maybe I'm not saying I didn't receive enough love, but I'm just saying, maybe my desires are actually a reflection of something I was lacking in the past. And I'm tortured by my desires and I want them so bad. And they give me a lot of misery, but maybe I have to just really see what the emotion is. And then I won't have those desires anymore and I'll feel a lot more peace.
Absolutely. That's the whole thing about inner wealth.
Absolutely think
Okay.
identifying and knowing yourself to the level of understanding why you're feeling something. If you don't understand why you are feeling something, there's no way you can solve the problem unless it's by like sheer luck, which I don't think
Yeah.
is a thing in this kind of scenario.
That's right. And what we do is generally we tend to find help externally when that happens.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that's never going to solve the problem. I mean, we have to go inside. We need to go inside.
Will it solve the problem in as much as if you seek help externally, that professional, let's say, will give you the tools to
It's a
do the
tool.
inner work?
It's a tool, right?
Right.
And many a times we are given guidance. Like I said, nothing is good, nothing is bad. Everything has its role.
Hmm.
Everything has some or the other role. Sure, sometimes things could be rather not doing anything, not helping at all. But again, it might be true for someone else.
Right. Yeah.
So it also depends on our circumstances, how we deal with it, how we understand it, what we do with it, how we don't do
Yeah.
with it.
Do we think there'll be a point where technology integrates into the ego, the subconscious, and the higher self?
Like I
Is that
said, there
possible?
are many, many realities that are already
Mm.
existing and unfolding. And there are realities where we are one with technology. Some people call it that it's a very destructive kind of a future. Then there are also realities where technology is with us, but as a companion, as a co-creator, where it's not taking over, our biology.
Yeah.
Our so, and then there's everything within that, in between. And believe it or not, what we think and what we do or we don't do really dictates on which reality we will be choosing and going on to. And remember, it's not like that one instance will change that reality. No, it's every little thing you do, every second we are switching, we are changing. Every little thing we do, with every little step we take, with every little thought we think, with every little thing we do or don't do, we are shifting.
So throughout this podcast, we've created hundreds of thousands of different realities.
We never create anything, everything already exists.
They're okay. Well, we've jumped hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of realities. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to add to the whole. Okay, Ruby. So Ruby, what was your last question? Say it again, just so I can give my answer to that, because I think.
Do you think that there will be a point where technology integrates into us so much that it becomes part of our consciousness and our being? Inseparable.
Like that's the whole kind of, there's the whole science fiction kind of aspect of that, of like uploading our consciousness, onto the internet. But exactly, I was thinking of the phone. Like we're already so, like it is an extension of ourselves. We use our phones like they are so intimate with us. It is a kind of transhumanism.
Yeah.
Like these tools.
Much of me, that's the Kaleidoscope logo right there. Much of me has been offloaded into this thing.
Right.
That is, if I lose this, I would be devastated. Thank God for the cloud.
I think it's for everyone. Like the boundaries are blurred now between some technologies we use and our identities, and it's so intimate. Now, the challenge happens when, let's say, you're afraid of losing everything on the cloud. So I think, Arjun's work would come in here in sitting with yourself and trying to ask yourself, well, is that ego? So what if I lost everything in the cloud? Do I really need it?
Your soul registers everything, any which ways.
Yeah.
You never lose anything, right? But yeah, I mean, it's more the fear. It's what emotion we live in primarily. I mean, we can always be happy-go-lucky. Sure, we are in fear sometimes. Sometimes you're anxious. Sometimes you're happy. But it's about what you choose to live in majority of the times.
So is it a choice?
It's always a choice.
Okay.
See, you cannot change the situation you're in.
Yeah, agree.
At least not instantly. I mean, if you're already there, I mean, of course, you can go somewhere from that destination, but given the situation you're in, it's not the situation that matters. It's how you deal with it that matters. What you do with it.
Right. Yeah. I would agree. Yeah, definitely. Ruby, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking you're right. And then I'm thinking, I'm wondering if I would want to live in the intersection of time. Okay, wait. That just gave another. I'm conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
The conscious self that is me has jumped hundreds of thousands of realities in the 50, 60 minutes that we've been talking. But myself, my consciousness has remained here in this reality and left the others behind. Are there others of me that are feeling the same way in other realities?
Maybe this is just
the true reality?
No,
I wouldn't say
you
that.
are multi-present. You are present in more places
Multi-present.
that you are aware of. It's just that because we don't want to go crazy, we
Arjun,
have chosen to limit ourselves.
you're blowing my mind. Hold on.
I think, Ruby, you're experiencing this reality right now. And when you think it's not true, it's your ego trying to like buffer against all the other realities. So it's like, just let it happen. Don't overthink it.
Not to overthink it. He's absolutely right. Luigi is right. You've just got to go with the flow. That's what matters at the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like I understand, but kind of an.
And it's when we have the expectations of how things should be rather than how they are that we get all in our heads and we like ruminate and things like that. I speak from
No, no.
experience and years of
The
therapy.
but the reason I asked the question is because I have a continuum in my mind, right?
Okay.
But what we're basically trying to say is that the soul is split into infinite consciousnesses that have infinite continuities from the time of gaining consciousness, I suppose.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's also present as a whole in timelessness, as a whole,
Yeah,
not as a whole, as a whole.
it's a vertigo moment to. It's a vertigo moment for me.
You know, as humans have given also the limited brains and the limited realities we live in, and we are limited. We have chosen to limit ourselves, right, for this experience. But a lot of things we cannot even try to comprehend or understand with our limited perception. And so at times what happens is, sure, you some things could, the same fact that we just discussed could stress some people up or could liberate some people, right? And what I would just encourage you and all the listeners as well is to just let it liberate you and just go with the flow. Just know that everything is possible and the power is in your hand. That's the entire reason why we discussed this, right? Because in the end, it just makes you realize that everything exists and where you go is your choice. So rise up to your power. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I'm what I may have come across as stressed or something. It's more an epiphany. I'm not stressed. I'm
No,
quite
not you. Just
oh
generally I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Ruby, I
yeah.
already think
I'm also
you're
speaking to the
Mhm.
ether, to the listener, to the
Yeah.
watcher.
right.
Yeah. I mean, and by watcher, I don't only mean you watcher on YouTube. I mean the watchers,
Universe.
the watchers
Right.
of the universe. Do the watchers exist? Are there people that watch us, or
Sure.
are there beings that
Other
watch us?
consciousness, of course, at all times. You have your guides right now with you, all of us. We have our divine teams with us, guiding us, whispering in our ears, not literally, but yeah. They're always guiding us, and we always have signs from them. Like I said, the moment you sit down, you can always even get their guidance. You can receive their guidance.
That's so crazy.
It's because not everyone can be as brave as we are being on this earth. It's no easy task.
Yeah, I do. I think that maybe we come to Earth as a holiday, as
No,
a
it's more school.
safari, as a
Yo, it's a pretty tough
safari, so to
holiday.
speak.
As a
It's not.
school.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a
maybe it's
soul
a school.
school.
Maybe it's a holiday. Maybe it's a safari. Maybe it's a
It's a holiday for billionaires, maybe.
naked and alone. Or what's that
No,
show?
I
Naked
think
and Afraid.
that's what you think. No, I think even I don't know. I think it's in this context. I think to learn
Yeah,
because
sure.
it's tough being human.
Yeah.
Even for the people that we think are, the wealthiest on earth. All we know is that
Yeah,
they're
I think
wealthy.
that all problems are equal in the mind of the soul, in the eyes of the soul. Like, I think that you're stressed while you stress for different reasons.
Right.
I don't think that stress is comprehensible beyond the line of being. There's like, while someone might idolize the idea of wealth, when they get there, they might find that they hate it. Yeah.
People will have different type of problems. We all have different type of problems. Even the ones
Yes.
who are really wealthy, like
Yeah.
abundant physically, are also facing some of the other things in their own lives. So no one is scot
Yeah.
free in this
But then I
manner.
also want to say, like, I do think that there is a difference when you have an existential fear. And I think that once you get past basic human needs, your fears become ego based. But I think there is a level where your fears are existential. For someone homeless, for example, I don't think their fears and their problems are equal to Elon Musk's problems. He might feel, for example, that they are equal to the problems, or maybe he idolizes the poor person because he thinks
Maybe.
that they have no problem, but their issue is existential, right? And I don't think that is the same. I
Well,
think
okay, wait.
everybody should be raised above the level of existential fear. Sorry. Yeah.
I think we're okay. I think again, we need to define existential because the way
When
I'm
you
hearing it from you
might,
is
yeah.
My understanding of existential or existentialism is we have great anxiety when we understand we have no true meaning in life and we have to create our meaning. The way you're talking about it, the way you're using it, it seems is
I'm not talking
a poor.
philosophically.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm talking like
so I think
your
we need to clarify that
yeah.
because
Sorry.
it will confuse people.
Not on what's his name? Soren Kierkegaard, the
Kierkegaard.
father of existentialism. No,
Okay,
I'm not there right now. I'm on
all
the
right.
level of if I don't get food today, I'm going to starve to death kind of level.
So like more survival, right?
Survival. Yeah. Like your literal presence on earth will end because of this, right? I think that is a different level of stress too. Oh no, if I don't make this sale, I'm going to lose my job. Well, the stress might feel the same.
Yeah.
I
Is it
don't think that
objectively the same?
they really can. Yeah, I think it's subjective.
I
Completely.
would argue it doesn't matter because the biggest issue is a fear of not existing for whatever reason. Is the homeless person afraid they're not going to eat and die? Is the person making the sale afraid they're not going to make the sale and then die?
It depends how closely they're tied to the identity of being a salesman, right? Because
Okay,
the
so
salesman will die.
social
That
death. No.
reality will end, right? At
Because
least,
why?
or it
'Cause
will
he won't
shift
make.
to the extent of not being a salesman.
He'll be a worse salesman. Well, then that's like a kind of social death.
Yeah, actually, if you go to see, the moment you have a fear and you start questioning it, very soon you can come to a realization, if you work on it, that it's just an illusion. I have been there. To be frank, I'll tell you why I haven't got into doing this inner wealth work aside from wellness,
Mhm.
and especially the mind, prioritizing the mind even over like physical. I mean, now what has happened is that my wife is taking over all of the physical aspect and herbs and emotions, and even as emotions as well. And I have completely decided to take over the mind and all these things, because I do realize, and I have been there, where I was at a point in time where I didn't pay my social security. I just couldn't. I had limited amount of funds, and I had to
Mhm.
decide, what can I do with it? Of course,
Mhm.
buy my own food first, right? And even that, I didn't have too much of flexibility. I have been there. And what changed things was me thinking that it's my choice. Like, okay, I'm faced in the situation, but how do I deal with it? Do I submerge myself in a fear that will consume me, that possibly is something as bad as existential fear, just as you all pointed out, which was just an illusion? Or do I make something out of it where I can grow from here? I can make this my foundation. I'm at my foundation. I'm at the lowest in my life. And I decided to go the other way, to make this my foundation, to build and grow from here, to come into my power. And that started shifting things for me. And then the moment we start working on our fears, we realize that most of them are illusions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
I
never
completely.
gets as bad as not existing or dying. It never happens, because although we live in a world which is challenging to live in, but there are always loved ones and people who are amazing, kind-hearted, who are always around.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. And I think a lot of people forget
We
that.
always think the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's the
And
nervous system.
well, I think the worst case scenario is really just shame. It's really not, dying in a ditch. It's just shame. And that's so jarring for most people.
Absolutely, it's not as bad as we think it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Can't confirm.
And let me just put on one more point. Would you ever go to a movie that has nothing going on except this one guy or a girl or a family living this one life where everything is super good at all points? Everything's perfect. Would you even enjoy such a movie?
No.
Maybe artistically. You might. And now that you say that, I would see that movie just for the sake of it having never been done before. And it would make me think, and I go, But I do know what you're saying. I'm
Yeah,
just
so
playing devil's
exactly.
advocate.
I wouldn't enjoy the movie. From an academic perspective, I might leave with cynical judgment.
There
So do you
are movies
think,
like that now. There was a movie like that recently. It was with Tom Hanks. What was it called? And it took place in a house and just people changing throughout the years. Obviously they had their whatever problems. But it's kind of the same idea. What was it called?
But imagine if you don't have anything going on in life and everything is super awesome at all times, would you really enjoy life? Like they say, if you never have darkness, you won't know what light is.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay,
See, I
here's
could never
another
answer that
question then.
question because my life is never just so easy. I wish I could figure that out.
Do you think that we create the problems? We create the problems to keep things interesting.
Let's not call them problems. Let's call them challenges.
Okay, we are, some of our challenges are because this is what you said, it's an illusion. We manufacture illusions in order to keep things interesting.
And also to learn and have experiences and grow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that more.
I mean,
I don't want to think of like self-sabotage.
no, never. Never
Imagine.
shoot yourself in the foot, thinking that
Yeah.
you will only have problems in your life that you can handle. You'll never have problems in your life that you cannot handle.
I
The
like
point
that.
is always,
That should be everyone's mantra.
yeah.
Luigi, one more question before we move on to your topic. How does this lead into your struggles with spending money?
Oh, geez. I don't know. It's still, maybe Arjun can help me with this. Arjun, I don't like to spend money, and it causes me a lot of grief to spend money. Like, I obviously have a fear that it'll never be enough.
He doesn't
so
want to
it's
come
very-
to Thailand with me because he doesn't want
my
to
God.
spend the money to come.
Leave it alone.
But
I mean,
it's
yeah.
maybe consciously it looks that way, But there are,
Yes.
like I said again, there are deeper things inside that you need to question. That why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
something will definitely pop up. There is something behind it, and the moment you let go and resolve it and liberate it and transform it with an alchemy, you will never have that fear again.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. Obviously, I have to do the inner work. I just have not done it. But yeah, someday, day by day.
Someday. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for indulging me for a second. Tell us what your question is.
My question. Well, I mean, we think we. I always say
No,
we
we
kind
did
of already
not
talked
cover
about it.
this. Yeah.
Well, okay. Let me find it. Where'd it go? So no, it kind of is. We did kind of talk about it. So let's talk about some of my neuroticism, as always. Obviously I'm back home, and when I come back home, I am reminded of the things I still possess, the physical media. And I'm looking at a lot of it. Okay, we could say physical media, but like physical things. It can be anything. Old toys, video games, whatever, teacups. There are some things I think I don't need this anymore, but I'll throw it out later. So like, why do we need physical media nowadays with everything being, let's say, virtual, digital, on the internet? Is there a comfort in having a physical, tangible thing? Or should we just, as adults, do away with it? I think kids need physical media. Or actually, I think everybody needs these physical things. But
Define media. Define media.
yeah, I'm saying media, but I don't really mean like a VHS tape or a DVD. So I'm just like, let's say, how can I say it? Physical objects? I wonder if physical media incorporates all of the things. So one thing you know about me, Ruby, is I love like mugs, and I love novelty mugs. They're a big part of I don't know. I think they're a big part
Thanks
of my
for giving
personality.
me an idea for what to bring back for you.
Very good, but are they necessary, or is it just another kind of attachment?
I look at it in a different manner. You're looking at as just perhaps physical media, you're understanding it as that. But I believe it's very likely it's more than that. It's memories. It's
There is a part,
emotions
yeah.
connected
Yes.
to those things. And even if there are no memories connected to those things, generally the way those things are reminds you of something or gives you a certain feeling, again, emotions. And that's the reason why you tend to be also attached to things and want to have them in your space.
Yeah. I can
Because it
look
makes
at
you
it.
feel a certain way.
Yes. So for me, I mean, off the top of my head, there are two ways of me looking at it. There's like the nice nostalgia, and then there's also my let's say my money worries. I have this.
Yeah.
It's almost like hoarding. Like I think, what if I need it? But I know I
That
don't
was
need it.
my question. Like, how do you, where do we draw the line between collection and hoarding?
Yeah, when when it's really getting so excess that it starts affecting you,
Yeah.
affecting you, because hoarding does affect people,
Hmm.
their emotions, and Dr. Bradley Nelson, who is the author of the Emotion Code and the Body Code, and I completely agree with this, also wrote about that people who are hoarding are kind of creating like a wall around them, not literally, but
Yeah.
kind of
Psychologically, yeah.
logically. And what are they trying to protect themselves from? Again, at the root, there's something else. Is there some
Yeah.
trauma? Is there some emotion? Is it some fear? Surely there is something that one needs to work on.
Yeah. I think so. Definitely.
Yeah. And there's nothing to feel bad about, because all of us have something or the other to work on. That's the reason why we are here, right? No one can be scot-free and perfect.
Yes.
And then also, I don't think that there is a problem in wanting to collect mugs because,
No, there
yeah,
isn't. But me personally, I'll just say the things I have, they do cause me grief in as much as I have to depend on others to manage them for me, because my life is moderately transient, you know. I don't really have a truly permanent home. So when I come home, I have my things. It's not a lot, but I think it's still a little too much maybe. And I really value those things because like my tea wares, for example, like I remember the struggle of getting those, like traveling all over China, picking them out, curating them. And like now I look at them years later and I think, this is not very valuable. But I went through so much to get it. And still, if something happened to them, it would cause me a lot of like anxiety maybe. I'm sure I
now
would
I
get
think
over it,
like
but
value doesn't come from monetary. I mean, I can appreciate the
right, you're
value
right.
that comes from materials that we use if they're rare, hard to find, high quality, and there's a lot of effort that goes into making them. But that same effort comes into the curation process of finding things. And I know you, I'm sure that you didn't curate trash.
I think I did in as much as I didn't know any better. So let
But
me
that
okay.
no. So that's the thing. Then it was a learning experience
Oh,
on
yeah,
top of
definitely.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. But but I think now in the world today, it's so paradoxical because while everything is kind of like subscriptions, people don't really they don't really want to purchase. Let's go back to physical media and let's say anything that's not digital, we can
I, w-
now talk
I want
as
to say something on this, actually,
okay.
because
Okay.
you're talking about the curation of things. And I've always had a passion for quality things. And if I'm able to get those things, then I
Hmm.
will. And even through
Sure.
high school, I received criticism from my family for always buying expensive things. But what I would do is I would feel like I would obsess over something for weeks. I would do intense research. I would read research papers and design documents on how something was made before I would buy it. And then I would save money and then I would buy it.
Okay.
And if just before I bought it, something else that was better came out that I had read about, I would buy that thing instead. So it's been a lot of money on this one thing, but then that one thing would stay with me for years and years.
Hmm.
And and I think that that kind of media, that kind of I don't know, let's call them objects, has been lost. Okay, I'm flying to South Africa tomorrow. Here's a razor. I'll be taking this razor. I've been looking at another razor online for over 2 years. And I wish I had bought it, but now I'm not gonna because it's
Seems a little
expensive.
excessive
Yeah,
for a
I know.
razor.
It's a razor, yeah.
Well, obviously you care about quality. And I think that's
I
good.
do.
I think, like, to me, it seems like you have a very practical sense of using your money. but I could be wrong. I don't know how many. I don't know how many insane
Sometimes
brand name
I
items you
buy
buy.
too many things. How much money did I spend on establishing this podcast? I spent way too much money on microphones because I
But
thought
for
this is what I need. Like this
yes.
one is the only one that I truly wanted, and I'm
Well,
not
my
sad
question:
about.
why didn't you return the things after you used them and thought, okay, it's not
That's a
exactly
very good
what I'm looking
question
for?
because I like them.
Okay, well, then
Because
I
I
don't
like
know.
them, and I would try to find a use case for them, for the ones that
So
I
it's like you
bought.
want to have them. There's some kind of commodity fetish there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got,
yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Commodity fetish. I've never heard it phrased that way.
Well, that's a famous phrase, the commodity fetish.
Not in
But
my books.
well, the point is, I'll try and break it down real quick. So essentially, the commodity fetish is, in an anthropological sense, a fetish is a thing that is used spiritually to hold all of these kinds of qualities, used in religious ceremony or whatnot. So that happens to our commodities. That's why today, in late capitalism, let's say, when we purchase things, it goes beyond the utility of the object. It is the qualities we acquire and the kind of charm circle we get to belong to once we have those things. It's kind of like, what's everybody buying in China right now, Ruby? And you think, oh my God, it's
Those
so silly.
those dolls, the keychain
That's right,
dolls, right?
the
Yeah.
Labubus. Arjun, do you know about Labubu?
I just heard of
Have you
them
heard of
recently.
Labubu's,
Yeah,
Arjun?
it was. Yeah, it's
Right.
just trends,
So
It's social media. It's the media, I would say.
right, and so everybody buys it to, it's to belong to, it's to belong to a group. Let's say it's a social experience, and you buy it to be a part of it. And more importantly, if you saw someone, let's say like a celebrity with the Labubu, how do you acquire the same qualities as a celebrity? You do it through your taste. You buy the Labubu, and then you have them.
Is she?
She left again. She'll be back.
Okay.
We gotta wait for her.
We should. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's better to wait.
I'll text her and see. Even me. It's almost, well, I guess where she is, it's almost 12.
Oh, is it? Where is she exactly located right now?
She's in Suzhou City, which is southwest of Shanghai City by like 90 kilometers. I don't know if that means anything to you. I don't
Yeah,
know
no.
I don't know what your geography of China is, but Shanghai is
No,
a
I
very
don't know
famous
much.
city.
Yeah, but 90 kilometers. Yeah, it's not much, right?
No, about an hour and a half.
Okay, but your time zones are the same, of course.
My time zone, China is 12 hours ahead of me. So while
Oh,
it is it's almost 12 in the afternoon here, so it'd be 12 a.m. there.
yeah, no, sorry, you weren't in China, right? Yeah, okay.
But let's see where she is.
No, it's pretty late for her.
Disconcerting because she's the host. She needs
Yeah.
to be recording this. I got to check all my computers. I'm on multiple screens, believe it or not. Let me see. Maybe she fell asleep. Oh,
Oh, there
I'm
she is.
back.
she's back.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, Ruby.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened outside this room, but I think one of the animals shut down the Wi-Fi by accident.
Okay. Jeez.
Are you joking?
No, I'm dead serious. Like I lost Wi-Fi. Luckily, I have a backup Wi-Fi router here, so I just switched.
Oh, okay. You can edit it out. So,
It'll be, thanks to Riverside, it'll be edited out by itself.
well, I made my point about the fetish. So perhaps that's why you like the things you do. They have a quality that marks your identity or gives you the kind of qualities where you purchase it and you feel like you belong to a certain group that you value.
Arjun, what do you think?
Again, going back 50, 100 years, we had minimalistic kind of a living. Things were pretty much quality. The refrigerators and everything. First of all, there was
Yes.
really
Yeah.
less stuff that time
Yeah.
compared to now. And I feel, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories like hardcore, but we have been divided by certain powers, groups, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
who also overlook and decide what we should learn, how the society should function, how the economy should be. And I feel that a lot of things are just distractions to keep us engaged in our own worlds, small worlds that we create to feel powerless. Because remember, together we are powerful, and divided like we fall, right?
Hmm.
And so we cannot see as much as consumerism and so much of stuff that we see today in today's time. We couldn't see that 150 years ago. And I feel like, again, nothing is good and bad, but I think we are also reaching a point where it's really hurting the earth, exploitation of the resources and so on and so forth. Because the economy needs to keep going, well, they could create
Hmm.
quality products, as Ruby points out. And I really appreciate her for, buying quality and sticking with it, and of course, quality products do last a lifetime and more, and they get passed
Yeah.
down generations. And that's a great practice, by the way. And I feel that we now need to come back to that point where it's not like stuff is bad, but the so-called companies that make low quality cheap products can also make higher quality products that last. But then again, they think, if products last, then people are not going to buy again.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
so it's not us. Of course, people are in their own stresses and emotions and traumas, and so much going on. There is a void in all of us, also because we are divided, that we want to fill, and we need to felt belonged somewhere, or we need to feel a certain way. And if you see the advertisements, you see brands like Coca-Cola, Apple, and so on and so forth, the way they make the ads, it's like all psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's designed in such a way that communicates directly to your subconscious and makes you want it and have it.
Yeah. Ruby, you should be an expert on this stuff. Isn't this what you studied in school?
Yeah, I studied on how to make people want things.
Yeah.
Actually, no. It was part of
What?
my studies, but my studies was more focused on internal management of employees during a crisis.
Snap. I thought it was more like communications.
Yeah, it is communication management. And my specialization, my major project at the end was internal branding,
Something more
internal
practical.
communication management. Yeah.
My education too, part of it was in rhetoric. And a lot of people just think rhetoric is just fancy ways of talking and convincing through an argument. But no, it extends beyond that. It's, the things we consume, the way we decorate a room, things like that. So I
Yeah.
do think about it quite a bit. Maybe that's why I'm not so apt to buy good quality things, because on some level, I don't believe in that good quality. I just think, because I can't see the logistics of the product, I also am very skeptical and think the price is just marked up. For example, in North America, there are famous retail stores called like Marshalls, and you buy clothes there that you think are top-notch quality goods, and you see the label, the price tag, and it says, in other stores it would be this much, but at our store, it's this much. So you see this marked down. But really, from what I understand, is that it's a ruse. It's a psychological tactic to get you to purchase it and think you are making a deal for a quality product.
No store is going to mark down a product into a loss unless it is an
Yeah,
extreme.
absolutely.
Yeah. Unless it's like some kind of extreme scenario. And then there'll
But when you
be
see,
a
but when,
strategy to make money from something else.
yeah, right. But when you see some of the items in some places that are marked down because, season's over, whatever, and you see how inexpensive it is, you realize how much it really doesn't cost.
But I think we are insulated from that in China to a very large extent. I buy my clothes from the cheapest place possible.
But what
And then
about
I
when
wear them
okay,
for years.
but yes, me too. But what about shopping malls in China?
No, they're marked
You,
up. But that's bread
I
and
know, that's my
circus.
point.
That's
Yeah.
bread and circus. Wait, we need to get Arjun back because I only see a freeze frame right now. Are you still there?
No,
No,
he's
I'm
he's
here.
still
I'm
here.
here.
He's
Yes, yes.
listening.
Absolutely. I was just listening to your conversations, and if I may add, because prior to the pandemic, we owned a company of organic cotton clothing, t-shirts, naturally dyed t-shirts.
Okay.
Mm,
And so, of course, we are aware of the ongoings and, or at least of the fashion industry. And
Hmm.
that's true, at least talking of fast fashion, speaking of fast fashion, the
yeah.
brands and everything, they are generally produced in like underdeveloped countries or developing countries in a very like cheap labor, sweatshops, and the same items are, even used by brands that are, they charge in a very high price on the label. They have a very high price on the label, like ultra luxury brands, or whether you call it like brands like that are just good enough for almost everyone. It's a facade. That's true.
Hmm.
At
Hmm.
many levels and many brands, it's just a facade. So you are right, Luigi. You are absolutely right into thinking that they actually have a very high profit margin, and it's actually an exploitation. And that's why, at least what we try and do is most of the times, wherever possible, we try to buy, local, more handmade, more
Hmm.
more stuff like that, because those, and yeah, just because something is higher in price doesn't mean it's going to be good in quality. But when you're buying something from someone that makes it personally, or like a small group of people or a smaller company, not by a big corporation, it's more likely to be
Right.
good. So I mean, just what Ruby does, and researching whatever you're gonna buy is a great practice, I feel.
Absolutely. I think there is is a space for big corporations to exist. And I'm thinking about situations like, for example, this micro this this being made on a local level by an artisan is not very practical. But this being made here down the road by an artisan, very possible,
What
right?
is that? Was that shirt made
It's
down the
Absolutely.
just
road?
a cotton shirt, yeah, or a
Probably
Yeah,
was.
shawl.
absolutely. There are things that just can't be made by smaller players. And,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have just
absolutely.
got to stick with what it is. Of course, I think we've just got to stick with what we have in the world we
Hmm.
live in, and just hope for the best, just keep
yeah.
spreading love and being forgiving.
But then
And
I want to say as well, like there are things like the lights behind me. Okay, the LED strips that are going around. That's made by a very big company, right? There's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
getting around that. It's cheap. But then the name there are quite a few companies that made that that make that, and that's made locally. Like I actually drew that picture and wrote the words and sent it to them, and then they made it for me, and then they sent it back. And you can
Yeah.
see if you looked at it, it's hand cut, and I kind of appreciate that. It didn't go through like some heavy manufacturer. Obviously, the parts of it are made by a big corporation or a factory, but I think that's different to consumer facing large corporations.
that's true. Yeah, there are some things that are just not in our control, like, like the LED lights and whatnot, like the microphones, that really smaller players can't get into manufacturing. But definitely, I think with time, and we are shifting, because we are revolting as well. We are opening our eyes, we are awakening. And I think there will come a time, at least in my reality, in our reality, that we are heading on to where being in a higher state of, in a higher vibrational state. And I think we can definitely be a part of a better world, as even people are becoming more and more aware of, it's not good for the earth, it's not healthy for the earth, these practices. And also
Yeah,
opening up themselves up to the reality of that they have been placed in a so-called matrix, you know isolated, distracted. And the movie start, because it's funny, we live in a world where we have internet and we are better connected than ever, and we are still
Yes.
so disconnected and isolated. But I think more and more, as we create communities, not because of products, but just for each other,
Hmm.
the more we can start shifting, the more, like I said, the best thing that happened was, first of all, whatever the society we are living in, the basis of that was old biology, old physics, the old thinking, the old, for example, the Darwin's theory of evolution. Everything is based on that competition for survival, cutthroat competition, right?
Yeah.
But that's not. We are not products of evolution. Again, we can get into alternate history. We are not products of evolution. We are not as humanity is not made for competition. We are made to live together in harmony and cooperation. And the moment we start shifting that model, everything's going to start changing.
Right. Yeah. That reminds me of just something I came across maybe a week or two ago. To add to your point, Arjun, that people are more egalitarian than we think. And it's only when we have all of this excess that we become greedy. So it sounds bad, but we are in our nature greedy for a survival sense, because what they noticed in like tribal cultures that were egalitarian, it was so important for everyone to be equal. So if you were a hunter and you were the best hunter, the tribe would make sure, when you're all in the village, everyone's equal. And then when you go out to hunt, okay, you're the best hunter. Today we're going to let you hunt. Even if you're the best, it doesn't matter. We're going to give someone else a turn. And what they also noticed was that like if you came across if you alone came across a beehive full of honey, you would gorge yourself on that honey and eat it all. And that's just because it was so rare to come by. But it still would not diminish the kind of egalitarian dynamic of the tribes. And it's only, they discovered, I guess now, relative to today, is that because we can create so much excess that we appear greedier. It's like it's a drive in us from, so long ago. But we are better at actually being egalitarian. And we know it's practical. But now, because of the system we're in, we're opposite that. Because we have to be to survive, I guess, in the society we're in today, because it depends on economy.
But even in the economy or the game, it's more like a game actually. The moment we realize we shift out of fear and scarcity and we start addressing those things within us, we can actually start shifting away from a lot of those things that keep us greedy or angry or hungry or whatever it is. And the more we can start connecting with other people, because also, when a person is in fear, when the person is anxious, when the person is going through emotions which are more dense, lower vibration emotions, we tend to feel isolated. We tend to not feel like going out and meeting people. It's very natural, right? You're feeling sad, you wouldn't feel like going and talking to anyone.
Yeah.
And they know what they are doing. These groups of people, these who kind of have control on most systems of the world, which is now breaking.
Mm-hmm.
They know what the psychology is. They know how people can be manipulated, how they can keep things, they can keep the illusion up, the illusion of that, we are not in control and we need to, fill the void within us by purchasing stuff and, being competitive and, serving the ego by saying I'm the winner, I'm the man, I'm the guy, and I'm the winner, and you are not, you're a loser, and I'm better
Mm-hmm.
than you, and those kind of things. They don't serve us, and it's not because inherently we are bad or anything. It's just that we are so drenched in trauma from all the past. Remember,
Right. Yeah.
energy, even emotion, trauma, everything is also energy, and because it cannot, and many a times it's so much, it's so much, especially like in times when there were like world wars and whatnot, that one single person, one single consciousness couldn't contain that form of like heavy trauma and energy in their field within themselves. It couldn't just contain it. So it got distributed. Because remember, beyond this, there is timelessness. So there's no restriction of time, right? There's no linearity beyond this dimension. So energy is not limited to the third dimension. So any trauma, any strong emotion, dense emotions faced, which the body cannot contain, it segregates and segments it and is passed to other generations as well. And then sometimes we feel triggered and we feel certain ways and we don't know why. Because
Yeah.
those energies are also contained, and although it's really relatively easy to begin to liberate those things, again, just by being more within ourselves and questioning what we are feeling, what's happening, and not being distracted by the illusions that are placed around us all the time. And we're really waking up to the fact that we are in control. We can take the power back in our hands. This is not like we are not a product of evolution, and we are meant to live in harmony. there's enough for everyone. This is something really important to realize, that we always think of scarcity, and scarcity is a part of fear.
Yeah.
But there's enough for everyone.
Scarcity mindset is poison. Poison.
So you just cut out there for a minute.
I said the scarcity mindset is just poisonous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think
Ruby
we
thoughts?
I think we should wrap it up. I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
Arjun, you've been fantastic. Thank you everybody for tuning into this. Don't forget to follow Arjun at ARJUNCHH.
RCHH.
RC. Oh, dude, let me spell that. Spell that carefully. I'm going to open Instagram here. ARJUNRCHH on X, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find Kaleidoscope at Rae Liu. That's RAELIU. Or Fire from Heat on Instagram, or Heat from Fire on TikTok. Luigi, what are your socials?
I don't want to share my socials. I'm not cool enough yet. My socials aren't that big. Why are you asking for my socials?
You can find Luigi.
You know that.
You can find Luigi anywhere you find Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, that's it for now.
Why
Hey,
not?
listen, when my socials get bigger, I'll be more apt to share.
Fine.
I have to do the work.
I'm going to stop the recording. We just stay online. We can have a bit of a chat.
All right.